tea, baby, but I'm not going to do the hand gestures because I can't do it.
Lemon Harris's tea.
You can do it.
Oh, tea, baby.
You can do it. I can't do the hand gestures. I think she was a cheerleader in high school or college, and I'm not by far at all. Okay, so we're talking about during the break, and I think we should bring this to overtime. Chris Christie over the weekend. Are you going to call it Beachgate? I don't know what to call it. So people that, if you somehow are living under a rock, it was on the homepage of everything all weekend.
If our producers can ultimately find that photo of him laying on the beach with his family.
So Chris Christie shut down the beaches because of a budget crisis, correct? Right. Shut it down. And no people from New Jersey could end up going to the public beaches, but he himself went alone with his family and was caught red-handed and then lied about it.
Right, but he went to the governor's mansion of some sort that's on the beach. So he said he had every right to go.
But he was just home.
But then he said he wasn't sunning himself except for the picture.
Yes, he was caught in an aerial photo.
And can we just point out, because everyone's got their strong opinions about Governor Chris Christie, but I think you said this, Meghan, he's got the lowest approval rating of any governor ever. I think it's at like 50.
In the history of polling.
15%.
In the history of polling, the lowest ever. Well done, Christie.
Mike Block was on Mornings with Maria on Monday morning. He's an investment guy, and he said Chris Christie is trolling the people of his own state. It's his response to being like, why you were on the beach, why you were on a public beach that your family was enjoying but was closed to everybody else. And then he made some remark at the end of the press conference later that day. He was like, yeah, and I'm taking a helicopter back to the house, and if you don't like it, then you can run from it.
You think he's just over it? You think he knows that he has no future after his time in office?
He was always like that. I think he was always like that. I mean, I think he always had that attitude, and for a very short time it worked for him. And Juan, you made the point that he was sort of an early predecessor to Trump, and I agree with you in the sense that he was the guy that barked back at the media and told them to sit down and shut up when people were starting to get sick of the media. And he was the guy who was the anti-politician. It seemed like he was going to be authentic, he was going to break the rules, and that was refreshing to people who were over politicians, hated the politicians, hated most of the media.
It wasn't even the press.
But then he became a hypocrite.
Yep.
And that's where you get in big trouble.
Why did you say where's the hypocrite?
Well, as my mother would say,
everything else, like all that kind of stuff.
It was as my mother would say, oh, you mean that New Jersey guy who was hugging up on President Obama and lost the election in 2016?
And he ran his own state into the ground. There's that as well.
Well, but so here's the question for Republicans. There's a gubernatorial race in New Jersey, and you've got Democrats and Republicans, in fact, his lieutenant governor running. He's just damaged the Republican brand badly
here.
And
she came out and made a statement saying, I think it's ridiculous he was doing, I'm paraphrasing, but it's ridiculous he was doing that. He shouldn't have been doing that on the beach.
He should have been in the Trump administration. He's a big advisor, big pal to President Trump. But Trump made a decision.
He brings so much baggage with him.
Well, apparently
that's the last thing that President Trump needs is to bring him on his team. We were talking about this too earlier. Chris Christie used to be the most popular politician in the Republican Party because my dad was running back in 2012, and whoever Chris Christie endorsed, it was the most powerful endorsement. When he went with Mitt Romney, it was at the New Hampshire debate. He showed up as his guest there. It was like, all right, Mitt Romney's got this in the bag. And you realize how quickly in politics things can change and how important it is to be consistent, as you said. When you shut down one of the busiest bridges in the entire country
during rush hour. I mean, that's my problem. I mean, I have many problems with Chris Christie. I've not been a fan for a long time, but I will say he seems to do things that any American, like in political scandals, there's some scandals that are just too meta for people to really grasp on. You can't go to the beach on the 4th of July. You can't get to work because some jackass moves the bridge and you're going to be 3 hours late. Any person anywhere can relate to that. If I lived in New Jersey and I wanted to go to the beach and I couldn't, and I saw him sitting on the beach, I would have been I already am angry, and I don't even live in New Jersey.
No, it's so true. And it's like also, if you look at the difference between when you talked about when he endorsed Mitt Romney and he was sort of the kingmaker at that point, this time when he got in behind Trump and he looked like he was, either a hostage or a bouncer or a security guard, we don't know what, it had such a whiff of desperation.
It looked like his soul was leaving his body, and he was watching it.
He was going to grab on real quick to the person that he thought was going to win. And then he thought he was going to get something because he was early to that party. But Trump was like, no way, man. This guy just jumped on board because he thought it was his best bet.
Then he was like,
I'm not going to get dragged down.
Plane.
He was the 55-year-old single bridesmaid who had just been in his 25th wedding.
Yes,
I think the worst movie probably made optically was when he was at a hockey game and he poured the bag of M&Ms into the box of M&Ms.
Yeah.
Remember that photo?
No. Yeah, I do.
You just think about the optics of things, and you just, you know what? In politics, everything matters, and people love to pile on. They love to make fun of people. as bad as it can be at times.
They do love to make fun of people, but again, he's one corrupt dude, and he got what was coming to him. And remember when you made fun of me on the radio? Because I haven't forgotten, and my career's fine. I'm not the lowest polling in the history of governor polling. How about that, Chris Christie?
Punch back.
I can't. You know what? I'm also a straight talker, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I think he's just the greatest.
So let me ask you guys, what do you think happens?
The memes, though. The memes.
He goes into entertainment of some kind.
Yeah,
radio,
he gets a radio
TV.
show.
Yeah.
Oh, the sports radio stuff.
I don't even know if it's sports radio. I bet he tries to go and do like political talk or something, like somewhere other than Jersey, because everybody there wants to strangle him.
He's an internet star because those memes that people put together after that photo of him sitting in that chair on the beach were merciless.
I gotta look those up right now.
So
you haven't seen the beach photos?
I saw that, but the memes sound
Richard Hooch says, I want to thank, he says, everyone, and then Juan Williams for a great day on the couch. And then he sent a meme of you dressed like a hot dog, and I think that's meant in a good way.
A hot dog?
Uh-huh.
I'm a hot dog.
Happy 4th of July.
Does that mean I get like ketchup and mustard and relish?
I think so. There was actually a meme on Snapchat over the weekend, and I made myself a hot dog over the weekend,
to make me chuckle.
Yes.
Here's what one viewer who doesn't follow me on Twitter said: sorry, we the unwashed masses dared to bark back fake news without checking first with your superior intellect.
So part of the problem,
that's not my point. That wasn't my point. My point is I actually will tweet articles based in legitimate fact and reporting, and people will weigh in on them and belch at me fake news without actually reading the article. It was just like the Chris Christie story. That was legitimate. That was a public beach closed to everybody else except the first family of New Jersey, and he's sitting on it in this bright sunshine.
Wait, I googled Chris. I put in Chris C, and it came up Chris Christie memes.
Yeah.
Number one.
That's pretty entertaining. But Juan, you've been a journalist your entire life, correct? I mean, your entire adult life. What do you make when people? Because I do can see that there are great journalists out there that do very hard work, and I'm greatly appreciative of it. But what do you think when people want to sort of blanket that all people that don't agree with your ideology, you're a liberal, say fake news, Juan is fake news?
I don't understand. If I bring something to you and I say, Meghan, it's raining outside, and I have some credibility with you, I may not be your cup of tea. You may say, I think he's a little too left for my taste. But basically, my reputation is everything to me. So if you decide, you know what, it's not worth listening to him, it's not worth watching him, and I'm not even going to check to see if it's raining outside because that guy's a liar, well, then I've lost. So left or right, my whole thing is I want you to say, you know what, I may not disagree with him, but I'd like to hear what he has to say, because I don't ever want to be surprised at the water cooler the next day when somebody comes up to me and tells me a part of the story that I was totally unaware of because I'd only been hearing it inside my little cocoon of friends, Facebook, and the talk radio host that I like.
That's a great point, Juan. You got to have some credibility.
I would think so.
You think about today how many stories, though.
If I screw up, if I say something that is factually inaccurate, I am the first person, as soon as I know that I've said it, to go on the air and say, I'm sorry. I got that fact wrong. I got that, and I think it's pretty clear when I'm talking about news and talking about what my interpretation of the news is. I think that.
But I think you make a great point, all of you, in that there are some fabulous reporters that are still out there. And I think the fact that we talk about fake news in the environment that exists today has given them a bad name, and that's really unfortunate. But there are a lot of articles that have just been false, Melissa. I mean, you think about how many, reports there have been about, blow up of the White House, a staff shakeup. We haven't seen any of that yet. We've been hearing that for months and months. And so I think there is a frustration of, how do we know what we're believing? How do we know, Juan, if you tell me it's raining, how do we may trust you, but how do we know that for a fact when so many things have gotten wrong?
Juan made a great point about us living in our bubble and our echo chambers. And you also talked during the show about how, there are so many outlets that everything has become very niched and very focused. And this is the danger, because you accidentally end up living in an echo chamber if you're not careful. And there are even algorithms sorting for that. Whether you're on Facebook or wherever else you get your news, they take note of, the computer takes note of which stories you clicked on and tries to feed you more stories like that. So you're unwittingly in this echo chamber unless you seek out the opposite side and make sure you know what's going on. And my fear is that people watch only one channel. I mean, I'm not going to say we want them only watching us, but you have to know what the other side of the argument is.
With all the information on the internet, that people have become more isolated.
It's true.
That's incredible.
It's true.
Because they can pick and choose where they want to go.
Abby, Melissa, Dagen, Juan, as usual, it's a privilege having you.
This
Love having you on the show.
Great group.
We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place.